Hey, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Learning to Live. We are in an awesome series. What is our series?
There was an idea to merge Learning to Live and the Marvel Cinematic Universe into a project that is bigger than better than you've ever seen in the mental health sphere on YouTube.
So, if you tuned in to our other episode of Captain America,
Which you should definitely do.
definitely check it out. Perseverance. Today, we've got a real treat. We are doing Captain Marvel, and the title is Uncoding You. So, Captain Marvel, I am so glad I went. Well, actually, let me step back for a second. First of all, this series, if you're not familiar with it, Ilyas had this idea. It's something I've kind of practiced before, just vaguely, the importance of the MCU in mental wellness and education. There's so many deep topics in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that can be shared. And we really want families out there to get together, watch these movies together, watch our videos, how we work through, how we have each topic that touches on the MCU movie, but also connects with mental wellness.
Definitely.
And we want families like Ilyas and I do, and Rashida, she's not here right now, but we all have discussions about how this applies and what we can learn from these movies. And they're so deep. And honestly, I was shocked with Captain Marvel. Like,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Because like some of these movies, like the main point of it, like the big takeaway, right, is like somewhat obvious, like with Iron Man 3, it's like anxiety and panic attacks, right? Yeah. But then like some of these movies, it's like you kind of have to dig deep, and for this one, I'd say it's definitely like one of those deeper movies that like has a lot of subtext to it,
Yeah, and decoding you. I mean, like finding you. There's so much about that, and that's something we all struggle with.
You got to decode like the script to figure out that you got to decode your life, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But going back through and watching Captain Marvel again. So Captain Marvel kind of happened in a kind of chaotic time as far as the Marvel universe is concerned.
Exactly, because it was like sandwiched between like the Infinity War hype and then the Endgame hype, And then, Ant-Man and Wasp was there as well, which is probably more buried than Captain Marvel because it didn't have that much to do with those movies, but it was like a hectic time, so everyone's like, Captain Marvel, I'm just going with Endgame.
Yeah, and me too, because you were so anticipating. Anybody who's watched Infinity War knows how that kind of left us all hanging.
Yeah.
And we're so anticipating Endgame. Captain Marvel, like it was great. It was a Marvel movie. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
But I missed a ton.
Yeah.
But please go back through as a family and watch this. It's vital, I really think.
That's a big thing about like this little marathon that we're doing, right? Yeah. Like just to like look back at these movies, like and to see like the mental health that we can like see that is the subtext of the movie, right? But also like to look back at those movies that are like underrated, that went under the radar, like we're gonna go into like the Thor movies and like Hulk, which probably is like also falls under that.
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel absolutely falls under that. And we've learned today, we've relearned that movie's amazing.
Yeah, Ilyas and I just watched it today. We kind of put things together today,
mm-hmm.
So it's fresh in our minds, and it's an awesome movie. And please, families, please check it out together. Discuss these topics that we're discussing because they're vital to your mental and emotional wellness, your kids.
Definitely.
And also at the end of the video, please stick around because we, play our family Where's Stan?
Yeah.
First to find Stan game. So
just stick around for that one at the end.
Awesome. So let's get going.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're just gonna adjust that.
First part of the movie, we find Captain Marvel, and she is stuck on a foreign planet, and she's having nightmares, and she just doesn't really know who she is.
Mm-hmm. She's kind of in a daze. Like even in the beginning of the movie, like the mystery is like immediately there. Like she's got like the dreams, and she's also like trying to like control her powers. She's got almost like a character crisis going on. you know?
Yeah, well, and totally. And she is having these flashbacks of her life before, and she's surrounded by people who are telling her who she is, and it's just not fitting.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we all go through, that who am I?
Yeah, exactly. And like this movie goes super in deep into like retrospection, you know, like I'm sorry, introspection and like decoding and also like decoding like the words that are around you and like the misinformation as well and like just figuring who you are for yourself and just like without misinformation and like people controlling you like the outside influence, you know.
Well, and I think one part that's powerful right at the beginning of the movie, she wakes up in a nightmare, and then first thing she goes to is she wants to fight with the Cree captain, who's supposedly training her and supposedly helping her. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on. But she understands enough that she needs behavior activation, which when you're frustrated or scared, from a psych perspective, a mental wellness perspective, when you get overwhelmed or if you got a lot of anxiety, behavior activation can be a good thing, get that energy out and everything. The problem is that who she's training with and who she's around aren't exactly being honest about everything.
They're not the best people in general.
Yeah. So, and we will definitely get to that later. But, we find Captain Marvel just going, who am I? Mm-hmm. And that's a journey that we're all kind of on. And it leads to lots of great conversation and just kind of reflection.
Definitely. And it's a really strong note to start the movie on. So you're thinking about that continuously throughout the movie, like, oh, how is she going to resolve this? How is she going to overcome like these struggles? Because it's somewhat clear in the beginning that like, Jude Law's character, the Kree, he got something else going on to him. So it's a really great note to start the movie on.
So the next is the next thing that Captain Marvel goes through is, what is my purpose? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a journey that we all go on too. What is my purpose here? And throughout the movie, just like throughout our lives, her purpose changes specifically. Mm-hmm. And specifically, and just a lot. There's a lot of specifics that change and details that she thinks are realities that end up being realities that were told to her, but were actually misinformation.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge major shift in her life. It's almost like the Matrix being like exposed to her, like everything that she knows is a lie, and then she has to like figure out what her purpose is or her destiny maybe is, in her life, and like who she is and who she should be like associating with as well.
Yeah, and the picture here shows her with the Kree troops, and they're going around hunting Skrull, who she believes at this point in time is her enemy. So her purpose, as mentioned throughout the movie, evolves, and much like ours does too. And it's always important to see, where are we getting our information, and what direction am I going? And the other thing is self-forgiveness. Because sometimes if we're led wrongly or go the wrong path, we beat ourselves up.
Mm-hmm. Like once you like come out of that little hole that like maybe you weren't picking the right life decisions, but you start to pick yourself up again. You start to self-loathe yourself, like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why do I do this? And you fill yourself, like your mind, with like negative affirmations, right?
Yeah.
And that would probably continue on to like as a cycle, like a hurtful cycle to yourself, and like you're thinking negative thoughts, you're gonna commit negative actions, and I think this like movie does a pretty good description of how positive affirmations can like affect one's life.
Yeah, and one thing to always remember is those positive affirmations have to come internally. Mm-hmm. You have to learn who you are. And then when you learn who you are, your purpose becomes more and more clear.
Mm-hmm. Especially with internal positive affirmations, especially when like the people around you they have ulterior motives, for being around you. It's you supporting yourself is just so much more important in that area.
Yeah, and it's really interesting the way her purpose goes from perceiving those who she perceived to be allies eventually become the enemies, and
Exactly.
those who she perceived to be enemies eventually become the allies. And that leads us to, who do I trust? Supporters become manipulators.
And like Captain Marvel in the beginning of the movie, you see that she has a pretty close relationship with Jude Law. You know what I mean? Like they're sparring.
Who is the Kree captain, right?
Yeah, Kree captain of that little like section, I guess you could say, of that army. And like they're sparring partners. They seem like they're pretty good friends, right? And then you got the Supreme Intelligence, who Jude Law and Captain Marvel both see in high regard as well, because that's basically like the Kree leader almost. You know what I mean? Like, which is pretty freaky when you like Supreme Intelligence just gave me like the heebie-jeebies. That thing was so scary.
And that's one thing that like is really important in this video, is identifying when supporters become manipulators.
Absolutely.
There's a lot in this video where you can see how they're actually predatory on Captain Marvel.
Absolutely.
They are using her strength, harnessing her strength, flattering her, making her feel like she's part of their family, like she's a valuable asset to them, but always only in the context of them. They never acknowledge that Captain Marvel's power is her power. It's always that they've given it to her. And this is a pattern of predators, that you need them, that they are the only ones who see the good in you, the only ones who you can survive with, the only ones who care about you, who want to have fun with you. And they do it in a way that feeds a superficial need that you have of flattery, or you know, in high school, you know, maybe it's an older person buying you some substances or something that you shouldn't be taking, or taking you to a party where you shouldn't go. But then, you know, I'm the only one who cares about you. I'm the only one. There's a saying in there they say about the what has been given can be taken away.
Absolutely. And we'll be going into that more later on, but it's very descriptive, and like goes to show just like the character of these people that are like supposedly supposed to be her friends and her like caretakers, you know, like they don't have her best intentions like in their minds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially like you see that with Jude Law the most. Like he's pretty ruthless to Captain Marvel, you know? Like I mean, not disregarding, you know, the flashbacks that we see later on in the movie, just in like the initial scenes, you see like he's trying to crush her spirit almost, like saying like, oh, no emotions, no fun, you have to be super controlling, and just like straight face, you have to be a fighter, you know?
Yeah, well, and yes, no, perfect. I'm so glad that Ilyas brought this up, because it's so vital. There's a point when he says the only way you can be strong is no emotions, no anger. So, okay, and you know, lots of times it's kind of like the snake on the Jungle Book. Trust in me, you know? That's kind of what he's doing, because he's saying no anger and no emotions. Humans have emotions, and they have anger, and that's part of us. We really can't get rid of them. Exactly. And nor should we get rid of anger, but how we react to those emotions and how we react to that anger. When someone tries to tell you you shouldn't feel that way, you shouldn't be that way, okay, they're saying something very, very wrong, because how you are feeling, or the emotion that you're showing, you can't help. It's now how you react to it. Now, if you're reacting in a negative manner, then that's something different. Absolutely. And people that care about you, you know, your true supporters, not the manipulators, will say, okay, I understand you're upset, but you're not handling it right.
Absolutely.
But when people say you can't be upset, you can't be angry, like the Kree captain told Captain Marvel, that is a predatory move. And really identifying, you know, that's what this can be a great topic of discussion for families, is, you know, kind of how, you know, these predators manipulate people, and even, cult leaders or anything like that. Whenever someone throws out there, you're only good when I tell you you are, or you're only good because I allowed you to be, run.
Yeah.
That is danger. But they do it in a manipulative way that makes the person feel good superficially.
Like their language is basically like peppering in like these empty compliments, but it's all about me anyway.
Yeah.
It's just
you're
like
so
me.
powerful, therefore you need me.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're powerful, but you need me to contain it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what the Kree did and the Supreme Intelligence did. And not only that, they used some of her memories, like Dr. Swanson here, who the Supreme Intelligence is looking like, somebody who she did have a good connection with, to manipulate her.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing about manipulators, is that they will use any means necessary to get what they want.
Definitely.
And it's not in the best interest of the person, as Captain Marvel eventually finds out. So, speaking of that, how we started to move forward is struggle equals enlightenment. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and talk a little bit about when she gets captured by the Skrull. The Skrull, who was supposedly her enemy.
Yeah, Talos. Who, by the way, also plays the main villain in Rogue One. He's a really good actor in villain roles. I really like him. And in this movie, he's also pretty good because you think he'd play a villain, but then he's also a good character. He's a good guy. Yes. But in the begin, it's near the beginning of the movie, right? And they're basically going through her memories, trying to find the doctor, where the laboratory is. As we later find out, that would be for a safe haven for the Skrulls, right? Yeah. But but they're going in there and they start to find her past, basically where she got her powers, and they try to find the coordinates. But Captain Marvel is also reviewing this as well. You see this when they kept replaying that the beginning, and where her and the doctor are just looking out on the horizon, and they're like, oh, beautiful sunrise. And then they keep replaying that part. You see that Captain Marvel's there, so she's reliving this basically, right?
Yeah, and that's what sometimes we go through struggles. And if you look at it from the outside, like Captain Marvel was probably looking at it, her enemy had captured her. Mm-hmm. They were manipulating her brain. She thought these thoughts were wrong. She thought these thoughts were being implanted in her, and she ends up fighting them. But in that struggle, like in all our struggles, there's so much that she learns from that. Mm-hmm. So much about herself, so much about truth. Definitely. And it opens her eyes to, wow, the Kree who I was living with, there's more to this story. Yeah. Who is this Dr. Powers, and what actually is going on here? Why have they taken an interest in me? And what are all these thoughts about my friends on planet Earth, being a fighter pilot? Mm-hmm. She goes through all the memories of all the times she was rejected and, people were mean to her, just all kinds of painful memories from the past and everything. But through that struggle, she starts on that journey to realize who she really is.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that we really need to take into consideration. And so many times when we're going on that positive journey to find out who we truly are, it happens during a struggle when we think, this is it. This is a bad thing. Yeah. This is a hurtful thing. And there may be some pain involved. Mm-hmm. Sometimes during those struggles, we can find enlightenment.
Absolutely. Also, to note in this, her struggle and her interactions with the Skrulls, them probing her memory, right, to find where the doctor's laboratory is. We find out later on that her crewmates are basically using that to gaslight her, to make her seem oh, she's going crazy because like the scrolls implanted memories in her. She's not in her right state of mind.
And that's something that's so damaging about manipulators and perpetrators is once you start to see the reality, once you see the gifts in yourself, once you see the good things about yourself, once you see that you don't need them, that it's you that has the talent, that it's you that has the power, they will tell you you're crazy. They will say, no, you need me. You can't do this without me. Look at all that I've given you. And they'll also play the victim. Oh, like you've left me. How could you do this to me? I did so much to you. Manipulators will use anything to get from you what they want.
And that's another major struggle that she goes through. Like her Cree members, or like also like her Cree crew members, are like slandering her and saying that she's been like she's compromised. They literally say like she's the scroll compromised her. But through that, she's enlightened, and she also that creates more seeds of doubt in her about like the Cree and their true intentions with her.
Yeah, their agenda, just because she's got captured, all of a sudden she's not of value to them, so they're just going to turn their back on her and stuff. It's a very eye-opening stretch of things, and it applies to our lives too. You know, we all have to bring this back, you know, exactly, decoding you. That's why we called it Decoding You, because we all have to decode ourselves. We have to know who we are, what our purpose is, and who we can trust and who we can't trust.
Exactly.
So as she comes through enlightenment, she starts to realize that she does have some people that she can trust. And the interesting thing about this is these are her perceived persecutors.
Exactly. Like Samuel L. Jackson was like hunting her down in the beginning of the movie because like, she crashed through the blockbuster. She's an alien, right?
Yeah.
But then she starts to talk to him more, and then he becomes like her most like trusted ally throughout the movie, essentially.
Yeah, and helps her. You know, this is the thing is you perceive persecutors. Sometimes we perceive people are persecuting us who are actually helping us because they're telling us the truth.
Exactly.
And sometimes the truth hurts. The people that will manipulate us will tell us anything. They will lie to us. They will do whatever to get their motive in place, to get from us, to steal from us what they want from us, to make us think that the only way we have value, the only way we're good is through them. But our perceived persecutors, who actually end up becoming our allies and our friends, sometimes have to set limits on us. Sometimes they have to say, no, you know, enough.
Basically, it was like the manipulators tell you what you want to hear. Meanwhile, the allies, who are like the perceived persecutors, tell you what you need to hear, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, you know, especially for teenagers and everything, you know, son, is I think sometimes it gets lost in translation, who is my ally and who is not for me, who's trying to manipulate me. And I think so many times parents and teachers and coaches, and not saying that there can't be times when this isn't the case, but many times those people are labeled persecutors because they tell us the truth. And even though it hurts, because they want the overall picture of us to be successful. They want us to manifest in the ultimate power, in the ultimate success, like Captain Marvel does at the end, and like the Skrull, like Nick Fury, and like her friend Ms. Rambo do. But they have to tell hard truths.
Absolutely.
They have to bring you to the reality. And if we don't perceive that those people that are telling us the hard truths, if we can't see, if we don't decode ourselves enough to see that those people are actually trying to tap our potential and tap those areas where we're powerful, but it might take a little pushing. We might need to struggle a little.
Yeah,
you know?
It might hurt in the beginning, but then as we talked about earlier, like it results in enlightenment, you know?
Yes, no, that's so true. It's the same. And normally our perceived persecutors, who are actually our allies and actually care about us, give us much enlightenment, but sometimes enlightenment feels like we're being restrained.
Exactly.
And held down because it has to mature. And usually the people who care about us know it has to mature. Usually the people who are trying to manipulate us will push something and take just whatever they can get from you before it has grown into something beautiful that's going to benefit you. They steal what will benefit them.
Exactly.
And that's what I think is actually kind of interesting about the scroll is she was conditioned, and it took her a significant amount of time to, she still said, these are the terrorists, these are the evil people.
It was so drilled into her mind that like these are like the enemy, these are horrible, like irredeemable people. But then like she starts to like not judge the book by its cover, and like through like her questioning and decoding her life, she starts to realize, okay, these oh my God, these scrolls, these poor people.
That they were actually the ones being suffering at the hands of the Kree, and that the captain of the scroll put himself on the line to find the black box that revealed what actually happened to Captain Marvel when she was Carol Danvers and she got into the plane accident. So it was actually the scroll who really gave her the proof of who she was. So her perceived enemy actually became the one responsible for the revelation of her power and who she truly is.
Exactly.
So many times we need to, on our journey to decode ourselves, we need to be careful who we trust and who we don't, and really see what is the person's motivation. What are they getting from this? Because if you look with Nick Fury and the scroll and her friend, they weren't getting a whole lot from it.
No, they did it because they're friends and they also wanted to help her.
Yes, they wanted to do the right thing. They wanted to help her discover herself. Now the scroll did need, her help.
Yeah, Talos did get some stuff out of like the exchange, but he also did it so he can like help her as well. It was a mutual thing.
And he didn't manipulate. He knew how powerful she was. He could have manipulated a little bit and tried to use her power for his gain. He could have said, oh, look, the Kree turned you against us, but it's actually them that are the enemy. Go eliminate them. No, she came to that on her own.
Exactly.
She saw the deception in the Kree. And all the scroll wanted was to be with their family and to allow Captain Marvel to see who she was.
Exactly.
And our friends and our allies will always try to help us find the best us, who we were meant to be, who we truly are, not who they want us to be or what they can use us for, but who we truly are and where we're powerful.
Exactly.
So now we go back to the captain of the Kree. And even throughout the movie, even at the end of the movie, he's still trying to manipulate her.
Yeah.
He still tries to say, even when she's powerful and, he's been exposed for trying to use her as a weapon and all this manipulation, he still says, I'm so proud of you. Like a snake. Trust in me. And that's what people will always, who are, predators and manipulators, they'll always try to touch that. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You have, even though you've treated me bad, I still think you're wonderful and everything. So that is very nasty. But the reaction by that point in time, Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel. She has decoded. She knows who she is. She knows where her power lies.
Exactly.
And she says, no, I do not need your approval at all.
Exactly. She and then she became Captain Marvel. She became the powerful warrior that we see in the other movies as well. She decoded the world.
But the tricky language is very important to watch on your journey throughout life. People will try very much to manipulate you, to gain your resources, to gain your rank, to gain whatever they can from you. And then they'll leave you once they've sucked that dry. And another thing that you have to watch is that idea that, oh, they've implanted this. They will always, manipulative people will always try to undercut that true support that you have.
Exactly.
That true core of people who empower you and want the best for you and support you for no gain, but because they love you and because they care about you. These manipulators will always try to use language to belittle them. Oh, they're just jealous of me.
Yeah.
Oh, they just hate me. Oh, they don't want you to gain what they know I can give you.
They're not your real friends.
Yes. And, this goes with cliques at school. There's so many areas that this goes for. And, Captain Marvel, it's an experience you need to have as a family, because there was so much deep meaning on her journey as she became Captain Marvel that we can learn just tons from.
Exactly.
And it was really exciting, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed our conversation about it. And I want you guys to enjoy it as a family too, and just please make comments. Let me know what you learned from it as a family, as individuals. How it helped. Maybe identify some people that weren't real trustworthy that you've been around.
Exactly. You don't have to go into specifics. Just I'll also just talk about, like, if you love the movie, if you hated it, maybe. I mean, hard to hate this movie, to be honest, but, like, if we accept differing opinions on Learning to Live.
Yes, we do. It is all about perception and how this guides you on decoding you. That's what this is about, right?
Exactly. And then at the end of the movie, Captain Marvel becomes Captain Marvel,
Yeah, and I think probably the most powerful scene is when it looks like the Supreme Intelligence has her captured, has her strength down, okay? And all of a sudden, Captain Marvel realizes that the power doesn't come from them. They have no power. The power is in her. She's the strong one. And how she realizes that is when the Supreme Intelligent Leader calls her name that they've given her. Theirs. She says, no.
My name is Carol.
My name is Carol. And she fights. And at that acknowledgement, at that decoding of who she is, seeing who she is, seeing who that is in the context of her supporters who truly supported her and cared about her, and let her know that what happened with when she got blasted by that power surge made her a superhero.
Exactly.
That truth about how she was a superhero even before she was a superhero, by the way she was continued to fight to become a fighter pilot. How even when she was falling off those ropes, even as a little girl, when she flipped over her go-kart, she got right back up. My name is Carol. And so often, just seeing who we are, not trying to be who other people want us to be, not trying to get things from other people to make us feel better, to make us feel like who we are, but that acknowledgement of that fire in there, of our talents and what we've been born, the skills and the just knowledge, not knowledge, but the skills that and talents that we've been born with. My name is Carol. Exactly. It's such a powerful part of the movie. And it should touch your heart too, that you have to see who you are, not who people have told you are. And not how you think other people make you better, but who you are. And that's
It
will unlock your superpowers.
Exactly, figuratively and literally, because she also the chip that they implanted, the Supreme Intelligence, she just nicks that off, and then she's like,
yeah, and that's the thing about this that's amazing is once you start seeing your power, and once you start viewing life through your power and your potential, what has been holding you back is so unpowerful.
It melts away.
She just flips that little thing off. And that's exactly how it is when you perceive things through your powers and your potential instead of perceiving things through your pain and your past.
Exactly.
So, all right, as I promised,
our little
family game, little Easter egg. First to find Stan. We're not going to tell you exactly where it is, but that's what it looks like. So we hope that you will take this time to watch the movie, watch our video, discuss it with your family. Because the message of decoding yourself is so vital. And we just want this to be a gift and a blessing to your family. It has been to ours. And we'd just like to say thank you so much for tuning in. I've got some scrubs here, Marvel scrubs, Iron Man t-shirt. The links for the Amazon forum will be right below. Also, please subscribe, please share. Let us hear from you.
Yeah.
We really want to hear your comments. We want to hear what you think about this, what your family learned together, and just please take the time. It's such an amazing experience to take that 2.5 hours out of our schedules to just sit with our family.
It's just a nice bonding experience.
Yeah, and watch it. And sometimes it can turn to 2 or 4 hours once the discussion starts.
And then you might just end up just watching like a bunch of those movies in a row, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a huge gift, and it's been great. So with that being said, I'd like to tell everybody to be strong, be brave, be courageous. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great one.
Have a good one.